My fast food job feels normal until midnight hits. I already know what happens at midnight. I'm telling you that now so you understand. This is not a story about figuring it out. I'm not some detective. I'm not brave. I'm 19 years old with a daughter who turned 2 in March, and I work the 11 to 7 at a place called Burger Barn off Route 9 Inches, Bridgeport, Connecticut, because it pays $16.50 an hour, and my mother watches Lily while I'm gone, and the only other option was the Amazon warehouse in Stratford, where my cousin Dina said she pees in a bottle, and her knees are already going. Bad at 24. So I took the Burger Barn job, and I already know what happens at midnight. I knew by the end of my first week, because Marcus told me. Marcus is the overnight shift lead. He's 41. He's been here 9 years. And he told me on my third night, the way you'd tell someone that the ice machine leaks, or that the women's bathroom lock doesn't catch, like it was maintenance information. After midnight, the building changes, he said. You'll feel it. Don't go in the walk-in between 12 and 12:40. Don't look at the parking lot camera feed if there's nobody in the lot but you see cars on the screen. If a customer orders something that's not on the menu by name, like if they use a word you don't recognize, just say, "The machine is down," and they'll leave. And if you hear your daughter's voice coming from the drive-through speaker, do not answer it. He said all of this while restocking the napkin dispensers. I thought he was hazing the new girl. I thought it was one of those overnight shift things where people get weird because they're tired, and the world outside is dark and empty, and the fluorescent lights make everything look like a hospital. I laughed. He didn't. I'm not trying to scare you, Tessa, he said. I'm trying to keep you employed. People who don't follow the rules quit. People who quit, some of them are fine. Some of them aren't. The ones who aren't fine are the ones who broke a rule first. I stopped laughing. That night, at 12:09 a.m., I felt the building change. I don't know how to describe it except to say that the air got heavier. Not humid, not warm, heavy, like the atmosphere had opinions. Like the space inside the restaurant had been a neutral container and then suddenly became aware that it was containing something. The fluorescent lights didn't flicker. That would have been easy. That would have been a movie. They stayed on. But the quality of the light shifted. It became the kind of light that makes you look sick in a bathroom mirror. The kind of light that makes your own hands look like they belong to someone older and more tired than you. Marcus saw me notice. He just nodded. 40 minutes, he said. Keep working. It passes. And it did. At 12:41, the heaviness lifted like a weather system moving through, and the rest of the night was just a night. Fryers to clean, frozen patties to rotate, a drunk guy at the drive-through window who wanted a milkshake and called me sweetheart, and I gave him his milkshake, and he drove away. That was November. It's now June. I have not quit. I need this job, and the rules work, as long as you follow them. There are 5 of us on the overnight shift. Marcus, me, Deshaun, who works the grill, Priya, who floats between register and drive-through, and a guy named Cal who mostly does prep and cleaning and never talks about the midnight thing. I asked Cal once if the rules bothered him. He looked at me like I'd asked if gravity bothered him. It's a job, he said. Every job has stuff. This is the thing I need you to understand. We don't sit around being scared. We don't theorize. We don't film things on our phones or try to contact paranormal investigators or post about it online. We show up, we work, we follow the rules, and we go home. Marcus has been doing this for 9 years. 9 years. The man has a routine. At 11:55, he does a sweep of the dining area. At 11:58, he checks that the walk-in door is latched from the outside. At 11:59, he turns the parking lot camera monitor to face the wall. At midnight, he stands at the front counter and folds his arms and waits. And at 12:40, he turns the monitor back and opens the walk-in and says, "All clear," and we go on with the night. It's not heroic. It's not even interesting most of the time. It's labor. It's the same as knowing that the fryer oil needs to be changed every 3 days, or that you have to double glove when you clean the grease trap, because the first pair always tears. It's operational knowledge. The building has a condition, and the condition has parameters, and the parameters are manageable. That's what I told myself for 7 months. The rules Marcus gave me weren't complete. I figured that out slowly, not because I was investigating, but because I was present. When you work 40 hours a week in a building, you learn things about it the way you learn things about a roommate, not by studying them, but by overlapping with them long enough that their patterns become visible against yours. In December, I learned that the bathroom mirrors fog up at 12:15, even though there's no heat source and the exhaust fan runs constantly. I didn't go looking for this. I went to pee. The mirror was fogged. I wiped it with my sleeve, and my reflection was about a half-second delayed in copying the motion. I stopped wiping. The reflection stopped too. We looked at each other. Then the fog crept back, and I couldn't see it anymore. And I left the bathroom and didn't go back until after 12:40. In January, I learned that the drive-through speaker picks up transmissions that aren't coming from cars. I was on headset, and the lot was empty. I could see it through the window, physically see that there were no cars, but the speaker crackled, and a woman's voice said, very calmly, "I'd like to place an order for pickup." I didn't answer it. I took the headset off and set it on the counter and looked at Marcus. He was already looking at me. He shook his head once. I didn't put the headset back on until 12:40. In February, I learned about the counting. This one is harder to talk about. On the 17th of February, during the window, I was wiping down the front counter, staying busy, like Marcus taught us. Because idle hands during the window make you more likely to notice things, and noticing things is how the rules get broken. And I heard something coming from the dining area. We keep the dining area lights on all night, even though we lock the doors at 11. The tables were empty. The chairs were tucked in. But there was a sound, very faint, like someone counting under their breath. Not in English. Not in any language I recognized. Just a rhythmic, aspirated sequence, like someone going through a list, checking things off. I kept wiping the counter. I didn't look up. The sound lasted maybe 90 seconds and stopped, and when I finally did look, the dining area was the same as before. Empty tables, tucked chairs, fluorescent light making everything look like 3 in the morning even when it was only midnight. But one of the chairs was pulled out, just one, at the table closest to the hallway that leads to the bathrooms. It was pulled out at the exact angle you'd pull a chair out to sit down. I pushed it back in at 12:41. The seat was warm. I didn't tell Marcus about the counting. I don't know why. I think because he'd already given me the rules he thought I needed, and adding to them felt like it would mean the situation was bigger than he'd described, and I needed it to be the size he'd described. I needed it to be manageable. I have a daughter. I need $16.50 an hour. I need the building's condition to be a maintenance issue and not something else. March was when it got personal. Not personal like scary. Personal like it knew my name. I was at the drive-through window. It was 12 to 22. The window was closed. We keep it closed during the window, unless there's an actual customer. And we can always tell actual customers, because their headlights are visible, and their cars make sounds, and they exist in the continuous, physical way that real things exist. But the speaker had crackled twice already that night, and I'd ignored it both times. And then the window, the actual glass window that I open with a lever, fogged up the way the bathroom mirror fogs up. And in the fog, a word appeared, like someone was writing on the outside of the glass with a fingertip. Lily, my daughter's name. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I stood there with my hand on the lever and watched the letters drip as the condensation ran. And then the fog cleared, and there was nothing outside the window. No one. Just the drive-through lane, the menu board, the parking lot, the road, the city. When I got home that morning, my mother was asleep on the couch, and Lily was in her crib, and I stood over her for 45 minutes watching her breathe. She was fine. She's always been fine. The job has never followed me home. The building's condition stays in the building. I know this because Marcus has worked here for 9 years, and his wife and his 2 boys are healthy and normal, and he coaches Little League on Saturdays. But it wrote my daughter's name on the glass. I went back the next night, because I need this job. That's not courage. That's arithmetic. $16.50 times 40 hours times 52 weeks is $34,320 before taxes and after taxes, and with the employee meal benefit and the bus pass the franchise owner gives overnight workers. It is exactly enough for me and Lily and my mother in the apartment on Seaview Avenue to not go under. There is no slack in this equation. There is no find another job in this equation. I looked. There is Burger Barn, and there is the Amazon warehouse, and there is nothing else that lets me be home when Lily is awake. So I went back, and the window fogged again the next night, and the next, and the next, and each night the word was different. Mama, come, see, hungry. I didn't tell Marcus about this either, but he saw my face one morning when the shift ended and the sun was coming through the front windows and I was sitting in a booth with my hands shaking, and he sat down across from me and said, "It's targeting you specifically now." It wasn't a question. How did you know? Because it targets everyone eventually. It takes a while. It has to learn who you are first. He paused. It learned me in year 2. It showed me my mother's obituary on the order screen. She was alive. She's still alive. Lives in Norwalk. I drive up every Sunday. What did you do? I followed the rules. I didn't engage. It stopped after a few weeks. Did it stop because you didn't engage, or did it stop because it got what it wanted? Marcus looked at me for a long time. Outside, a city bus went past. A man on the sidewalk was walking a dog. The world was real and daylit and ordinary. I don't know, he said. I'm not sure those are different things. In April, the rules started to fail. Not spectacularly. Not like a horror movie where the walls bleed and the lights explode and someone gets dragged into a hole. It was more like the margins got thinner. The midnight window, which had always been 12 to 12:40, started creeping. On April 3rd, the heaviness didn't lift until 12:48. On April 7th, it started at 11:51. On April 12th, Marcus turned the parking lot camera monitor to face the wall at 11:58 as always, and I caught a glimpse of the screen before it turned, and the lot was full of cars. Every space occupied. No headlights, no movement, just cars, packed in tight, like a congregation. When I looked out the actual window, the lot was empty. Marcus didn't mention it. On April 19th, Deshaun broke a rule. I don't blame him. Deshaun is 26, and he has a condition where his blood sugar drops if he doesn't eat regularly, and he usually keeps snacks in the walk-in, a bag of baby carrots, some string cheese, stuff he can grab fast. And at 12:10 he forgot, or his body overrode his memory, and he opened the walk-in door and stepped inside. Marcus moved faster than I've ever seen a 41-year-old man move. He crossed the kitchen in 3 strides and grabbed Deshaun by the back of his shirt and hauled him out and slammed the walk-in door and held it shut with his body weight even though it latches from the outside. Deshaun was shaking, not from the cold. He'd been inside for maybe 4 seconds. "What did you see?" Marcus asked. "Nothing. It was dark. The light didn't come on. The light is always on in the walk-in. It didn't come on. What else?" Deshaun swallowed. "It was bigger in there. The back wall was too far away." Marcus kept his hand on the door until 12:40. When he opened it, the walk-in was normal. 12 by 10, stacked with boxes of frozen beef and bags of shredded lettuce and tubs of pickles. The light was on. The back wall was exactly where it had always been. But Deshaun's string cheese was gone. Not the bag. The bag was there, On the shelf where he always put it. It was open. It was empty. 6 sticks of string cheese. Gone. The wrappers were still in the bag, neatly piled, each one peeled open the way a person peels them, pulled from the top. The wrapper curled back. Something in the walk-in, in those 4 seconds of darkness, had eaten Deshawn's string cheese, had unwrapped each one individually and eaten it and put the wrappers back in the bag. I know how that sounds. I know string cheese isn't scary. I know that if you're reading this in the daytime, in your house, on your phone, the idea of a supernatural entity carefully unwrapping and consuming string cheese sounds absurd, funny, even. It wasn't funny, because it meant the thing in the walk-in had hands. It meant the thing in the walk-in understood packaging. It meant the thing in the walk-in was not a force or an atmosphere or a condition. It was something that could do what people do, and chose to. Deshawn didn't quit. He started keeping his snacks in his locker in the break room. Operational adjustment. We adapt. That's the job. May is when I started bargaining. I didn't call it that at the time. At the time, I called it staying efficient. The window was expanding some nights. It started at 11:40. Some nights, it didn't end until 1:15, and the rules were becoming insufficient. Not because they were wrong, but because the territory they covered was shrinking relative to the territory that needed covering. Marcus's rules were a map drawn for a smaller country. The borders had moved. So I started developing my own protocols. Not rules, protocols. Because rules implies someone in authority handing them down. And there was no authority here. There was just me, in a building, trying to keep the building's condition from touching me. I stopped wearing my name tag during the window. The writing on the drive-through glass had used my daughter's name, which meant it could read, or at least recognize names. I didn't want to make it easier. I started humming during the window. Not because humming has any protective quality, because humming fills the space where the counting sound comes from. And if I can't hear the counting, I don't feel compelled to look toward the dining area. And if I don't look, I don't see the chair. I started bringing a photograph of Lily and putting it face down in my locker before midnight. I can't explain this one rationally. It felt like hanging up the phone so nothing could call through. These protocols helped. For a while. And then on May 8th, during the window, a car pulled into the drive-thru. A real car. Headlights on. Engine rumbling. A blue Honda Civic with a dented rear quarter panel, and a Pine Sol air freshener hanging from the rearview mirror. I could see it through the window. I could hear it through the speaker. A real car, with a real person in it, at 12:17 and the 19 prang. Hi, can I get a number 3 with no onions and a large Coke? A man's voice. Normal, tired sounding. The kind of voice that comes through the drive-through speaker 60 times a night. I looked at Marcus. He was frozen. It's a real person, I said. Maybe. I can see the car. I can see his face. He's just a guy. The cars on the camera were real looking too. Marcus. He ordered a number 3. He used the menu. He used a number. The rule is about orders that aren't on the menu. Marcus stared at the monitor he'd turned to the wall. Then he looked at me. Take the order, he said, but don't open the window more than 6 inches. I took the order. I rang it up. Deshawn made the burger. I bagged it. I slid the window open 6 inches and angled the bag through, and a hand took it, a human hand, warm, with bitten nails and a watched hand, and a voice said, "Thanks," and the car pulled away, and the taillights went down, Route 9, and vanished into the ordinary night. Normal. Completely normal. Except that when I closed the register, the transaction had no record. The drawer had the right amount of cash in it. He'd paid $9.47 with a 10, and I'd given him 53 cents change. But the register's digital log showed no sale at that time. The last recorded transaction was at 11:38 p.m. The next one wouldn't come until 1:22 a.m. The space between midnight and 12:40, now midnight, and whenever the window ended was a gap. Always had been. I'd just never checked before. I counted the drawer. It was right. The $10 bill was in the tens slot. I took it out and held it up to the light. It had a serial number. It had the watermark. It had the security strip. It was a real $10 bill. Marcus, the money's real. I know. It always is. What do you mean, always? You said not to serve anyone during the window. I said don't serve anyone who orders off menu. I said don't answer the speaker if you can't see a car. That was a car. That was an order. Sometimes they're real customers, Tessa. Regular people who are just hungry at midnight. And sometimes they're not. And sometimes, he stopped. Sometimes what? Sometimes they're both. And you can't tell the difference until after. After what? He didn't answer. He went to check the walk-in. The thing about working a job with a supernatural condition is that the condition isn't the hardest part. The hardest part is everything else. The hardest part is that Lily has started saying, Mama Night, when I leave for work. And the way she says it, not sad, not angry, just factual. Like she's labeling the part of the day when I disappear, makes me feel like I'm being peeled. The hardest part is that my mother's arthritis is getting worse, and she can't always pick Lily up when she cries, and I can hear in her voice on the phone at 3 a.m. that she's in pain and exhausted and doing this for me, and I can't repay it. The hardest part is that I applied to 3 other jobs in May: a hotel front desk, a call center, a daycare that operates during hours when I could actually be with my own child, and didn't hear back from any of them. The hardest part is that the economy doesn't care about the walk-in being bigger on the inside. The hardest part is that $16.50 an hour is not enough, and there is nothing else. I tell you this because I need you to understand what happened next as a financial decision. Not a brave one, not a curious one, not a noble one. A financial decision made by a 19-year-old woman whose daughter needs new shoes, and whose mother needs a cortisone shot that insurance won't cover, and whose car, she doesn't have a car. Whose bus pass is a gift from a franchise owner who has never once asked why the overnight shift has a 300% turnover rate. On May 23rd, the drive-through speaker crackled at 12:11 a.m., and a voice I didn't recognize said, I'd like to place an order for pickup. There was no car. I could see the empty lane through the window. I looked at Marcus. He shook his head. I looked at the register, which would not record whatever happened next. I looked at the empty drive-through lane, and I answered, Welcome to Burger Barn. What can I get for you? The voice ordered a number 5, a chicken sandwich combo, large, with a Dr. Pepper. It was on the menu. It used the right name, the right number, the right size. The total was $11.23. I made the food myself. Deshawn had gone to the break room. Marcus was staring at me from the other side of the kitchen with an expression I'd never seen on his face before. Not anger. Something worse. Recognition. I bagged the order. I walked to the drive-through window. I slid it open all the way, not 6 inches, and I held the bag out into the night. The lane was empty. The air was heavy. The parking lot was dark and still. A hand took the bag. I'm not going to describe the hand. Not because it was monstrous, it wasn't. It looked like a hand. It had fingers and a palm and a wrist. But there was a quality to it that I can't put into words. A quality that my eyes received and my brain refused to translate. Like trying to read a sentence where every letter is correct, but the spaces are in the wrong places. It was a hand, the way the heavy air was air. Technically accurate, fundamentally wrong. The hand took the bag and withdrew, and there was a sound not chewing, not crinkling, more like satisfaction expressed as a physical vibration. And then something came back through the window. A $100 bill. It landed on the drive-through counter. Crisp. New. No serial number. I picked it up. I knew. I knew in my body, not my mind, that it was real in the way that mattered. It would spend. An ATM would accept it. A cashier would take it. It was currency. It was functional. It was money. The window fogged. Words appeared. Good girl. The heaviness lifted. It was 12 to 14. The window hadn't ended. It was barely past midnight. But in the space around me, the air went back to being just air. Like a transaction had been completed. Like the building was satisfied. Marcus was behind me. How much? He asked. His voice was flat. 100. First time is always 100. I turned around. First time? Marcus, first time? He looked at me and I saw it. I saw the 9 years. I saw the Little League on Saturdays and the drive to Norwalk on Sundays and the wife and the 2 boys and the house. He had a house. I knew he had a house. How does an overnight shift lead at Burger Barn have a house in Bridgeport? And I saw what the building's condition actually was. Not a haunting, not a curse, not a thing. An employer. Marcus reached into his pocket and took out his wallet and opened it and showed me a fold of bills. Hundreds. All crisp. All new. I didn't count them, but there were at least 20. It started in year 2, he said. After it learned me. After the obituary on the screen. I thought it was threatening me. It wasn't. It was interviewing me. Testing whether I'd stay. And when I stayed, it started paying. Paying for what? Service. Same as the franchise owner. Same as any employer. It's hungry. We have food. It pays for what it eats. Marcus, that's not... You can't just... Can't what? Take money from something I don't understand? Tessa, the franchise owner, is a man I've met twice in 9 years. He owns 37 locations. He has never asked me a single question about what happens in this building after midnight. You think he doesn't know? You think the turnover rate is a mystery to him? He doesn't care. He gets his profit margin during daylight hours, and whatever happens at night is our problem. The thing in the building, at least it pays. I stood there with a $100 bill in my hand. Does it ever want more than food? I asked. Marcus put his wallet away. It wants what any customer wants. To be served, to be acknowledged, to come back and be recognized. That's not what I asked. I know. Marcus, it hasn't asked me for more than food in 9 years. That's what I can tell you. That's what I know. And the people who quit, the ones who aren't fine, they broke the rules. They weren't serving it. They were fighting it, or studying it, or trying to understand it. You don't do that with a customer. You take the order, you make the food, you hand it over, you take the payment. That's the job. I looked at the $100 bill. I thought about Lily's shoes. I thought about my mother's hands. I thought about the cortisone shot. I put the bill in my pocket. That was 3 weeks ago. I've served the drive-through voice every night since. It always orders off the menu. It always uses the correct names and numbers. It always pays in $100 bills with no serial numbers that nonetheless work everywhere I've spent them. I bought Lily shoes, real shoes, good ones, not the Walmart ones that fall apart in a month. I bought my mother a heating pad and made the appointment for the cortisone shot. I paid the electric bill 3 months in advance. The window still gets heavy. The walk-in is still wrong between midnight and whenever the window ends. The bathroom mirrors still fog. The counting still comes from the dining area. None of that has changed. But the words on the drive-through glass have changed. They don't say Lily anymore. They don't say mama or come or see or hungry. Now they say thank you. Every night, fogging up around 12:10, dripping down by 12:20. 2 words, polite, consistent, like a regular customer who appreciates good service. I should be more disturbed by this than I am. Here's what I haven't told Marcus. Last Tuesday, June 9th, after the window ended and the air went back to normal, and I wiped down the drive-through counter and pocketed the 100, I went to the bathroom. The mirror was clear. No fog. My reflection was in sync. Everything normal. But there was something written on the mirror. Not in fog. In something more permanent. Etched, maybe. Or drawn with a finger that left a mark in the glass itself. It said, "Lily is beautiful when she sleeps." I read it twice. I touched the letters. They were smooth under my fingertip, like they'd always been part of the glass. I got a rag and Windex and tried to wipe them away. They didn't move. I tried the scraper we use on the grill. The letters stayed. They are in the mirror, the way veins are in marble. I went home that morning. My mother was asleep. Lily was in her crib. I picked her up and held her, and she made the sound she makes when she's half awake. That small protest that isn't really a protest. And I held her until my arms hurt. She was fine. She's fine. The building's condition stays in the building. But the building knows what my daughter looks like when she sleeps. And I don't know how. Lily has never been to Burger Barn. I don't have photos of her on my phone at work. I leave my phone in my locker during the shift. Always have. I've never described her to anyone at work except to say her name and her age. But the building knows. I went back the next night, and the next, and tonight. I am writing this on my break at 2 to 47 a.m. The window ended at 12 to 51 tonight, later than ever. The voice ordered a number 2 and a number 7. 2 meals. First time it's ever ordered more than one. I made both. I handed both bags through the window. 2 hands took them. 2 different hands. It paid $200. The fog on the drive-through glass tonight said, "She looks like you. I'm going to finish my shift. I'm going to take the bus home. I'm going to hold my daughter. I'm going to put $400 in the envelope I keep in my sock drawer. There's over $3,000 in there now, and I'm going to sleep. And tomorrow night I'm going to come back here and put on my visor and clock in and do my job." Because here is the thing about the building's condition. The thing Marcus was trying to tell me. The thing that is true and horrible, and also the most ordinary thing in the world. It is exactly like every other job I've ever had or will ever have. Something I don't understand takes something from me, my time, my sleep, my hours with my daughter, the years of my body, and gives me money in return. And the money is never quite enough. But it's almost enough. And almost enough is the exact distance that keeps you coming back. And the thing that takes from you learns your name, and learns your face, and learns the name of your daughter. Because that's what leverage is. That's what a job is. That's what every employer eventually knows about you. The precise shape of what you can't afford to lose. The building isn't haunted. The building is a workplace. And I am not trapped. I am employed. Deshawn just told me there's a car in the drive-through lane. A real one. Headlights on, engine running, a woman with a toddler in a car seat. She looks tired. She's ordering a kid's meal and a coffee. It's 2 to 52 a.m. The window ended 2 hours ago. This is just a regular customer. I'm going to take her order. I'm going to give her the coffee. I'm going to tell her the play area opens at 7 if she wants to bring the kid back. I'm going to do my job, because that's all any of us are doing. All of us. In every building, under every set of lights, for every employer who knows exactly what we can't afford to lose. The only difference is that my employer is honest about being hungry. If you work overnight somewhere and the air gets heavy around midnight, I'm not saying follow the rules. I'm not saying break them. I'm saying know what you're being paid for. Know what you're agreeing to. Know the exact shape of the thing you're feeding. And decide with your eyes open and your hands steady whether the money is worth what it eats. And if you decide it is, welcome to the night shift.